Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio. Your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Get ready for Talking Heads, the show where expert insights meet world-class education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. Brought to you by USA Global TV and Radio. Meet our distinguished presenters. From the great state of Texas, longevity expert, award-winning author, publisher, and distinguished Toastmaster, Red O'Loughlin. From London, England, soul heart awakener, novelist, vocal coach, and artist, Dr. Madeline Chan. Also from England, the Harley Street stress expert, therapist, ambassador for peace, and speaker, Carolyn Heward. And from Australia, ICF PCC credentialed coach, entrepreneur, and leadership coach, Mariska Dupria. Experience their expertise, connect with their wisdom, and transform your perspective. Watch Talking Heads on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. This video and its contents are the property of USA Global TV and Radio. All rights reserved. Terms and conditions apply. Visit usaglobaltv.com for more details.
Howdy, y'all. Red O'Loughlin here. We're on Talking Heads on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. And as a researcher, I love to get into the human body at the cellular level, chemically speaking. I just find it fascinating. This particular reaction causes that to happen, and you can go back and forth and figure things out. And I'm learning stuff new all the time. This past week, there was 2 or 3 things that came up. Whoa, I didn't know that. And it gives me a chance. I really need to research more in that area because this is something that could be of immense value to a lot of people. So I enjoy the research. I enjoy providing that information. And this is one of the outlets that I can do that on. Today's show, I call Plan B for Retirement Health. Go ahead. Let me get the slides put up here. Okay, there we go. And so Plan B, what most of us kind of have a Plan A in the back of our mind. I'm going to retire at 65 years of age, collect my Medicare, whatever it may happen to be, get my company's retirement fund. In fact, my brother, one of my brothers, is retiring May 29th, and he's been with this bank for over 20 years, and he's been talking about this retirement coming up for a while. And I've had others that I know very well. They're getting ready to go into retirement. I'm going to be playing golf 3 times a week. I'm going to be doing this. Just people have these plans. But part of having a plan is having it written down. I find out as I get older, if I don't write something down, it doesn't happen. So my plan A for retirement is, okay, I want to retire at 65. Something happens and I have to retire at 62. No, that happens. But plans can be modified. So today I want to talk about what is a decent plan B, assuming you already have a plan A. Well, our show here on the USA Global TV and Radio Network is live stream on Amazon Fire, Zizzle TV, E360 TV, YouTube, a couple different channels on YouTube, Android TV, Apple TV, social media. I have a couple simulcasts going on my own social media and more. There's some audio follow-ups, podcasts down the road. And I am not a physician or medical expert. And so the opinions I give you are the result of my research. It's for awareness and education. Almost everything I have can be found at redolaughlin.com. For my audio audience, that's red, like the color RED, O'Loughlin, OLAUGHLIN. So it's redolaughlin.com. And I have a brand new website there, and it has a lot of good information. My books can be found there and other information on speaking and publishing, and etc. So those are the books I have. I have 2 books I'm working on right now. And let me go ahead and get to one of them so I can talk about it. Aging Sucks is the book that I am writing right now. And let me just go ahead and one more. Whoops, let me back. This book, Longevity Secrets of Healthy Aging, talks about a couple different aspects of what causes us to age. But there's another dozen out there that are pretty important. And so I'm going to write a book called Aging Sucks. I'm about halfway through it, maybe a little more than half. And I'm going into other causes of aging that we can actually take some action on to make things change. So with that being said, let me back up. On YouTube, we have USA Global TV, and we have the archives, we have the live shows. And then on my website, I also have the archive shows from USA Global TV. As I mentioned, I'm a researcher. I've never been in the medical field, never been in the pharmaceutical field. My first love in life was chemistry in high school. I got a degree in it, got another 4 degrees after that, a bunch of professional certifications, spent 31 years in the Navy, 4.5 on active duty, got an invitation to Vietnam, spent 20 years in the reserves, then went back on active duty for 6 years. My last 2 years, I got recalled to active duty for Bosnia, and that was interesting. Anyway, my research involves cause and effect relationships. I got involved with that working for a company called Halliburton, researching failures they had with tools and other aspects of their business. So I was really taking things down 5, 6, 7, 8 layers deep as to why things failed. But I look at it from a cause and effect relationship, because if I can treat the cause, I can generally have some impact on treating the real problem. But if all I'm treating are the symptoms, I may feel better, I may look better, but the cause is still going on and it hasn't been stopped. Here in another couple of months, my wife and I will be married 57 years. We have 2 kids, 3 grandkids, and our first great grandson is just a little over a year old. Best-selling author, written 8 books, independent publisher. I've done over 40 books for other people, distinguished Toastmaster, have over 1,000 original content articles published on LinkedIn. And as I mentioned earlier, everything that I'm doing is for educational purposes only. If there's something that I say, I can do that, and maybe it's not a big deal, but if you're taking some medicine, you're under a doctor's control, don't go talk to somebody, a professional first. Maybe you need to talk to your pharmacist to find out, is this going to interfere with something? Talk to your doctor, but just don't willy-nilly go do something just because, that worked for him. Because everybody is different, and what works for me may not necessarily work for you, and the dosage rates, the timings, all those things. So talk to somebody who really knows. I was fortunate last year in 2024 on my show called The Wise Ones, which occurred just literally an hour before the show. I was fortunate to claim the number 2 and number 6 spots for the year. Okay, we just talked a brief about longevity secrets for healthy aging. I talk about the human growth hormone and telomere length at the end of your DNA. I talk about what you can do to accelerate or decelerate the aging process. But my new book called Aging Sucks, I'm going to go into a lot more detail. Okay, so let's get into Plan B. I think most of us have an expectation somewhere in our 60s, we're going to retire. If you're waiting on Medicare, Social Security, all that stuff, it's pretty much now 66, 67, whatever. You may have a company policy that says at 65, they no longer want you. That's kind of what happened to me at Halliburton. I got to a certain age, wasn't anywhere near what it should have been, but they said, here's your retirement plan. And they bought me. I couldn't say no. They had a really, really good plan. Okay, fine. You want me to stop working? You're talking the right language, and I stop working. But sometimes that doesn't always happen. Sometimes something happens to you and you have to retire. But we look at retiring somewhere in our 60s, and reasonably speaking, we got 20 good years in retirement, sometimes a little bit more, and in many cases, even less. But 88 seems to be about where most of us end up. Reality, half of us have diabetes or severely overweight when we retire. We're not financially prepared. Medicare may or may not be the boon that we're looking for, depending on how much money was put aside. Long-term care, what are the unexpected things? Long-term care, well, I got to pay the first 90 days out of my own bank account. Well, I hadn't planned on that. Well, that was what was described when you got the policy. A lot of things out there happen. and the unexpected is one of the biggest ones. Now, we look at what really happens. 62% of people in good health expect to live past 85 years of age. I think that's realistic. But 32% in good health actually live, I can live into my 90s. Well, if I'm 65 and I'm living to 95, that's 30 years. Do you have the finances? Do you have the health? Do you have the discipline to live another 30 years? Maybe not in the house you're in right now, but those are things we need to look at. So, as they say, the best laid plans often go asunder. One of the Navy SEAL quotes that I love is, "The only good day was yesterday." And that is true in so many regards. You wake up, you start a good day, everything's fine. You wake up tomorrow, something happens. And yesterday was a good day, but today is not so good. Maybe it'll get better, but the one thing that I've noticed over time is that you end up getting to about 80, 82 years of age. And then all of a sudden you're here with your health. Something happens, you're down here, surgery, whatever, doesn't matter. There's something happens, but you never get back up to here. And so you end up here or here, and then something else happens, and something else happens, and something else happens. And before you know it, you're on oxygen, you're in a wheelchair, and now you're in an assisted living home. And everything that you had worked for your entire life is no longer at your disposal. So, yeah, the only good day was yesterday, but you have to be in a position to make tomorrow a good day. Another slogan for retirement: man plans and God. That should be God, not good. And God laughs. Sorry about that one. Prediction is very difficult, especially when it's about the future. I can't remember who did that, but Yogi Berra did the last one there. The future ain't what it used to be. And that's so true. Just take a look here in the last several years with inflation and other aspects of things happening. The future is not the same thing we saw. Technology is going to get better, but things are going to affect us in other ways. So what's realistic? And we're looking at retirement health. I'm looking at physical health, mental health, emotional health. Mental, emotional, a little different, and we'll cover those down the road. But physically, if I'm in good health, but I don't have my mental wits about me, if I don't have my cognitive ability, that's a problem. If I'm depressed all the time, maybe those emotional issues can creep out and make me just hate every single day. Lots of things there, but what's realistic for you? What situations do you have now that are controlling the quality of your life? Do you have the ability to be able to counter some of the things? What do your genes say? What your parents, grandparents have that affected them in retirement? I'm very lucky. My mom lived to almost 90. My dad, 84. He had cancer. My father-in-law had Alzheimer's, lived to, I think, 87, 88. And his wife had some health issues and lived to about 87. So we're in that range. My wife and I have, our genes say, 88, 90, 92, something like that. And so that's kind of what I'm going on as my family history. But what happens if I start having cognitive decline at 62? I can't remember where the car keys are. Or even worse, what if I lose the freedom to have a car? That can happen too. You have some bout of something and they take my driver's license away. Always in the possibility. What is your backup plan? Do you have one? Cost of everything. I remember, 20 years ago, even more than that, probably toward the late 90s. And I'm thinking to myself, I got the military, I got VA, I got TRICARE, I got this, and this is worth at least $1,000, $1,500 a month because I'm not paying for my VA and my TRICARE for my medical and when I retire. And I look at people and they weren't in the military, they didn't have this, and all of a sudden they retire and it's $1,500 a month for insurance. So there are some things that going to cost, but my VA is not going to cost me any more than it's costing me. It's free, but inflation is going to cost me more for groceries, for gasoline, for taxes, for a lot of things. So those things need to be accounted for. It's just part of Plan B. How are you going to handle a 10 or 20 or 30% increase in the cost of living? Now, many of us have a home. You sell the home, you get an extra $100,000. Lots of solutions, but what are they? Number one concern that I've found doing my research is finances. Do I have enough to live on? But beyond that, you take the financial portion out almost every single time it's health. What is my health going to be like? What can I do to minimize my future with regard to what health things can happen? Well, we learned a big lesson from COVID. If I have diabetes, if I'm overweight, if I have chronic heart conditions, if I have emphysema, if I have issues that minimize my ability to get up and move, that's going to affect my future health significantly. If I'm on $200 worth of medicine now, that doesn't mean that 6 months, a year and a half from now, that $200 medicine is now going to be different. It's going to be $500 medicine. Lots of things can happen. What can we do in order to minimize those future impacts? So if I can do something today that will improve my ability to breathe, my ability to walk, my stamina, my balance, my strength, maybe I should give a lot of serious thought as to let's start getting that on the schedule and making it happen. But in the big scheme of things, it took decades for you to get here. In other words, if I'm 65 today or 75, it took 4, 5, 6 decades worth of time. All the habits that were good or bad, all the decisions I made, those choices in lives, all of the things that I did that cost me stress, money, anxiety, toxins, a whole world of things that can hurt us from a financial and health perspective. They're past. We can't really worry about what happened. What can we do now and make some changes? So what's the future look like? What's going to cost me in time and my energy? But in the big question, am I willing to do it? If I haven't done it for 60 years, what makes me think I'm going to do it now? Well, if I got a really good guarantee that if I did this every day, I would not get cancer, that might be something that I would be willing to do. But if my genes say I'm probably not going to get it anyway, I'm here almost 80 years of age, I don't have it, chances are I'm not going to get it. Okay, maybe that's not something I need to worry about. Maybe I need to worry about dementia. Maybe I need to worry about something else. But there are things in there that I do want to take and associate what's it going to cost me, money, my energy, my time, to see a significant difference. So what's the best return for my next 20 years? That is a good question to ask you, because that is your retirement health. In the next 20 years, whether you're in your 40s or 60s, you're always going to have your next 20 years. Even if I turn 80 tomorrow, it's not, but if I turned 80 tomorrow, I'm still looking at 20 years. I think that's a realistic horizon. Okay, so let's start looking at our physical health for retirement. I had a mentor back 20 years ago, and he was in the business motivation, inspirational speaker, and he used the term, don't do what unsuccessful people do, do what successful people do. And so that was his whole premise. Well, if I take and I adopt that same strategy, and I say, don't do what unhealthy people do, do what healthy people do. So what do unhealthy people do? Well, if they sit in the couch all day long watching TV, they never exercise, they have the same steak and potatoes they've had for the last 40 years. Now, what are they eating? What are they doing exercise-wise? What diseases do they have? What medicines are they taking? What other toxins are coming into their world? There are lots of things that unhealthy people do on a regular basis. What do healthy people do typically? They read labels. They eat healthy at the right times, the right amount of food. They meditate to relieve stress. They take extra care to get decent sleep. In other words, lifestyle issues, choices of food, choices of personal care products that don't have a lot of toxins in them. So what is it exactly that we should be doing? And conversely, what should we not be doing? Again, and most of the time, we don't know, because we never took the time. Nobody came and told us. Well, this is what is one of those shows that's out there, is to tell you, you never knew this, but if you do this, this is going to happen, or could happen, most likely will happen. One of those things that goes easily as you get older is your balance, your ability to stabilize yourself. Well, if I am now increased risk of falls and I know I could break a bone, well, is there some things I could be doing now to strengthen my bones without medicine? Absolutely. Not talking about that today. Well, I've talked about that so many times in the past, but there are super easy ways to get calcium into the bones. But once it's there, it comes out even faster than it goes in. So you have to do something different to keep the calcium in the bones. So a lot of issues there. We're not going into a lot of details today, but I'm sure here in the near future I'll be covering it again. Okay. What do the gurus tell you? Basically, exercise, lifestyle issues, like sleep, exercise, stress management, nutrition, all of those kind of things, standard stuff. But if we weren't doing them for the last 50 years, what's going to make us start doing them now? Well, pick one thing. It doesn't matter what it is. Maybe sleep is the one you want to start with. Maybe stress. Uh, Pick something, make it a routine in your life, and do it consistently. Whatever those things are, if it gets to be you're doing it 30 days in a row, it's consistent, you're doing it. It's easy to do, it's easy not to do. So if it's easy to go to bed every night at 10 o'clock and I lay there for an hour trying to go to sleep, at least I'm in bed at 10 o'clock. Well, what do I have to do between 7 p.m. and 10 p.m. in order to get my body ready to go to sleep? What do I need to do before 7 p.m. to make sure that I'm really ready to start drifting off at 7 p.m.? So if I need to increase my exercise, what part of the country do I live in? What options are open to me? Do I have some friends that can help me out on that? Stress management is probably one of the easiest. YouTube, I think, is probably the absolute best option out there for learning different ways of breathing, different ways of doing stress management, mindfulness, stress reduction. Nutrition, that's a harder topic, not difficult, just harder. I didn't even put toxins up there, but toxins avoidance of that is critical too. But so what are you doing? What are you not doing? What can you start doing? If you're already over 65, I can guarantee you if you're not exercising, you're probably not going to be. But you can walk. Most of us can. If you have a cane or a walker, probably not practical to go out on a 2 mile walk. But if you're at least mobile, something you should consider. Sunshine, fresh air, a lot of benefits from the sunshine. I'll touch on that here shortly. Wintertime, a lot of mall walking going on, even here in the Houston area. It gets a little rainy, a little cold, a little windy, and you go to the mall, and everybody is nobody going to the stores. They're just walking 2, 3, 4, 5 across, and that sometimes can get to be annoying. But whatever you're doing, establish that routine, get some consistency for at least 30 days. And if you're starting something like exercise, a minimum 5 days a week, half hour or more. If it's sleep, it's every day. If it's stress management, it's a couple, 3 times a day. Lots of things we can do to put in our plan B. Okay, stress management. If you're lying awake at night and you're thinking about the same thing, chances are that is a clue. That is what's stressing you. It's not the matter of the stress. Everybody gets stressed with traffic, inflation, politics. So many things out there can stress people out. But it's not the stress coming at you. It's what you reach out there and grab a hold of and don't let go. Now, something can happen. You could be sitting on the side of a road, 4-lane traffic, trucks going by, your car won't start. Okay, that's stress. Somebody comes out there, rescues you. It happened. There's an emotional attachment to that, but you get through it. Okay. A couple hours later, things should be back to normal. Don't take that stress with you the rest of the week. Let that stress go. But examine the stress like your life depends on it, because it does. If you're holding on to something, my sister-in-law has pissed me off forever. I don't have that situation, but if I did have that situation, what's causing that? Well, she's not going to change. If you don't change, the situation is not going to get any better. You're not going to make somebody change to make you feel better, to make things better in your life. So if you can't accept it for what it is, move on. Just avoid it. Exercise helps, but a lot more helps a lot better. So maybe what I need in my elder years is more stability, more balance, maybe a little bit more strength. Find out what are the best exercises for somebody in their 60s, 70s, and 80s that they can do in their house by themselves with a small, a bit of help from their son or daughter or next door neighbor or whatever. But exercise, we're finding more and more, has more of an effect on the quality of your life in your retirement than you would ever imagine. I've been looking at this thing quite seriously here for the last probably 2 weeks in some research I'm doing. But they're talking more about VO2 max, which is the maximum amount of the oxygen your body can actually absorb during exercise. And I'm thinking to myself, no way in the world is somebody 80 years of age going to be able to get on a machine and figure out their VO2 max. Well, we have things you can wear, wearables, that can give you some decent approximation of that. But if the issue is I need more oxygen, maybe I need to be doing some things called pranayamas that are Indian breathing exercises. It's a ritual by which you actually improve the quality of your breathing so you get more oxygen in. If the secret to having better mitochondrial health is more access to oxygen on a regular breath, maybe I need to be doing breathing exercises. But again, YouTube is a very good position, very good place to go. But I find breathing exercises help me immensely. It's just one of those things I didn't think was going to be that much of a difference, but it does. You get the oxygen flowing, you're going to feel better, you're going to look better. Sleep. It's so critical because that's when the body repairs itself. If you're not getting quality sleep, now you may be in bed for 8, 10, 12 hours, and if you're tossing and turning and going back and forth, that's not quality sleep. And there's wearables, a watch, you can say, oh, I was up 1,500 times last night. It'll give you some indication of the quality of your sleep. There are things that can be done. Again, YouTube can help you on that one. But consistency of your sleep, the duration, if it's in alignment with some level of circadian rhythm. I've been wearing a mask probably for about, I'm going to say 8, 9 months, maybe longer than that. Certainly Thanksgiving, maybe a little earlier. And I have 2 different ones. I put them on, it blocks out all light. I mean, middle of the day, if I take a nap, I put that on, everything's black. But a little bit of light in the room affects the quality of your sleep. If I'm looking at my computer before I go to bed or my cell phone, that blue light's going to affect the quality of my sleep. If I eat 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night and I'm going to bed at 11, that meal is going to affect the quality of my sleep. The same thing with any exercise I have late in the evening. If I'm drinking alcohol, that's even going to have a bigger effect than anything else because it's going to stop your digestion. And then at 3:14 in the morning, you're going to wake up out of a dead sleep and what's going on? Because now all of a sudden your digestive system has processed, your liver has processed all the alcohol, and now you're back to digesting the last food that you ate. You need sunshine, absolutely. The UV light will give you, that's our body makes this pro-hormone called vitamin D3. It goes through a couple different organs, but without having that sunlight on the skin. And we are programmed to do everything in our power. Sunblock, hat, long sleeve, avoid the sun, don't go out. But in reality, that sunlight is so good for us. NIR, near infrared, that goes through our clothes, through our brain, through our bones, gets into the spinal fluid, ends up in every cell in the body. About 95% of our body needs melatonin during the day for mitochondrial health. That comes from sunlight. The UV making vitamin D3, again, it's needed in almost every cell in our body. But the actual thing you hear about melatonin is that it gets dark, our brain manufactures it, but it only manufactures about 5%, and that's to help you go to sleep. Sleeping pills, don't recommend it because they can become a habit-forming issue, and they don't give you the quality of sleep that you need. It may be that you absolutely need something because you're so worn out. Okay, moderation, onesie, twosie, probably not a big issue. But again, talk to somebody who's a professional. Nutrition. We could spend, I have spent 2 or 3 or 4 sessions talking about nutrition, our diet choices. Nowadays we have this thing called fasting. So do I eat, what time of the day? How much do I eat? What nutritional balance is there? So many aspects of that and so many different gurus out there to tell you. Everybody is a little different. What works for this person is not going to work for that one. And if you're on a vegan or vegetarian lifestyle, you're not going to get the quality of amino acids from your proteins from plant versus animal. A lot of issues out there that can be a problem down the road. Just be aware of it. Go do your own research. Find out what you need to do. If vitamin B12, it's cobalamin. If you buy it in a bottle in a pill form, if you don't dissolve it under your tongue, you might as well throw it in the trash. Your stomach acid is going to eat it up. You're not going to get any benefit out of it. It's going to go in the toilet anyway. So sometimes you have to take supplements in order to get what you need, but make sure you're getting the right ones. Vitamin E, alpha tocopherol, that is one. Again, if it's a synthetic, you might as well toss it away. You're not getting any benefit. There's no bioavailability from some of those things. So know what you can get some benefit from. Macros, basically in most cases, it's carbs, proteins, and fats. But I was reading an article recently. They said, alcohol really should be considered a macro because of the impact that it has on the body. It's really a poison, and the body does everything it can to get rid of it quickly. It also causes visceral fat and some other issues that can become a health issue. I've been tracking my visceral fat as part of my own health program since last Thanksgiving. And okay, I went off alcohol for Lent, still off of it. And okay, I did have a lower amount, but I'm finding it's more impact is sugar on my visceral fat than alcohol. I'm still going to go ahead and keep my alcohol to zero for a while because I want to figure out what is really and truly causing my visceral fat to go up or down. I love fasting. I'm not doing as much as I used to, but I did get a couple, three, I think, plus 60, 70 hour fast this year. OMAD is 1 meal a day. That's mostly what I'm on. Intermittent fasting, at least 16, 18 hours, extended fasting. I try to do a 72-hour fast every month. Most of the time I'm successful. I've done 100, 200-hour fasts over time. But it just seemed like since I had shingles last year, being able to get into that 100 to 200-hour range, just a little more difficult. But the main benefit I see from fasting is autophagy. Our brain's called autophagy in the brain, but our body and our brain has a chance to let the cells get cleaned out, recycle everything. We're basically getting kind of like a new body, a new immune system. Super critical. Wearables, I talked about that. Basically, I kind of watch that measures things, continuous glucose monitoring, lots of information there. If I'm wearing one, got a patch on my arm, it goes to my phone. Okay, I just had that meal. I just had that exercise. I just did that fast. It's going to tell you how your body reacts. That's probably going to be one of the best pieces of things to invest in. You don't have to invest in it for years. Invest in it for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months. Find out what works, what doesn't work, and take action. So those are things you can actually adapt how your body reacts to something and make a change. What's the next step in health improvement? Some kind of very wearable that gives my heart rate variability, something to notify somebody if I fall. It gives me trends on what's happening with regard to various aspects of my health. I have this scale that gives me probably 15 different readings. I go step on it barefoot. It goes right straight to my phone to an app. And I did a presentation 2, 3, 4 weeks back that I talked about each one of the things my health monitor, my scale gives me. But some of them give you more than 20. I think the one I have does about 13 or 14. But it also, with the wearables, gives remote patient monitoring, early detection of something, probably a fair degree of accuracy. The cost, personal health care alerts, lots of things are to be had for it. So I think this is, if I'm retiring tomorrow, that's something I may want to make kind of up there near the top 3 of my list of health concerns. Let's talk briefly about mental health, our brain health, neurodegeneration, lifestyle choices. Our gut health affects our brains almost as much as it affects our guts. Our brains are very susceptible to alcohol and to sugar abuse. Again, moderation, probably not a big deal, but more than you should have, absolutely a big deal. Exercise gives us more oxygen flow to the brain. If you are subject, again, if you have a cane and you're going out walking, get yourself some head protection. You never know when something's going to happen that you fall, and if you hit your head, you don't need another health issue on top of everything else you have. So be wise about what you're doing. What can happen? What can you take precautions on? Medications, long-term use, lots of problems on long-term use. Read the labels, talk to your pharmacist. Most people ignore the pharmacist. They are just a wealth of information. I've gone to mine several times when I want to know something. I do my research. I can't find what I'm looking for. I go to, oh, absolutely. She'll say, yeah, that does that, or whatever it may happen to be. So, but read the labels on your medicines just like you do in your foods, because there's a lot of information there. And if you don't understand something, make a little mark, take it in, talk to your pharmacist. More on your brain health. Probably one of the biggest things you can do is take a look at the personal care products and the food you buy. Toxins are all over the place. You know, the current administration is doing a lot to remove some of the toxins from our foods and also from our personal care products. But you look at the difference between Europe and here, there are over 1,000 additives that Europe won't allow to be put into foods, yet the same companies that make the same products in both locations, they will avoid putting those additives in the European foods, but they'll put them, just absolutely load them up in American foods. Why? I don't know. If it's a cost issue, I have no idea. But you know, if this is a twilight of your life, spend a little bit of time, learn something. We're going to be subject to inflammation on a 24/7 basis. If we don't control that, it's going to up ramp itself to what's called oxidative stress. And that becomes an issue because our mitochondrial, again, that's probably if I had to pick one part of my body that I wanted to make sure was in near perfect condition, my mitochondrial. So my fasting is going to get my autophagy going, where I clean out the cells. Now my mitochondrial should be in really good, healthy form. But if I don't, I'm going to end up with mitochondrial dysfunction, going to have a lot of problems. Mitophagy, that's when our brains clear out. PQQ, pyrroloquinone. It's one of the supplements that can go through the brain. Great antioxidant. Vitamin E is 8 different compounds. One of them is alpha tocotrienol, and it's been known to basically open closed vessels in the brain in the event of a stroke. So it might be something that if you're subject to strokes, you may want to make sure you have the right kind of vitamin E and take it. Healthcare professions are everywhere. Everyone is a little bit different. So look at your history, look at what's going on. But to me, for my brain health, extended fasting is good because it helps my BDNF, my brain-derived neurotrophic factor, increase, which is going to help affect my neural health, which is going to help mitophagy. So it's just a never-ending, good world to live in. Mental health, our thinking, coping, and decision-making, that's mental. Our neurological and psychological disorders are mental. But my feelings, my happiness, my satisfaction in life is my emotional health. We need to attend to both as we age. So what can help me with regard to my emotional health? My relationships, and this is a big one you start getting over 70. Some people wall them off from everyone. They don't want to go out and learn new people. No, relationships have a major effect on your health. Learning something new, exercise, even if it's walking, nutrition, balanced nutrition, quality sleep, relaxation, stress management. All of these things help us. And again, it's not what happens that's stressor, but how we handle it, how we let it go, and how we recover from it. They talk about a work-life balance. Well, that's hard to achieve when you're in control of everything. When you don't have control, and our worry, our fears, our anxieties, all those things drain energy from us and we become more depressed. It's just not one of those things that we want to live in. So look at your work-life balance. What would I do? I would have a plan A, B, C, D, and E because things change. What happens if my car privileges are taken away because something happens to me health-wise? I should at least be talking with somebody now. What do I want? Who's going to shop for me? Who's going to prepare meals if I can't do it? Who's going to take care of my meds? What social functions can I go to? What do I have to give up? I really need to be super focused on balanced nutrition and caloric restriction. Those are two things in my personal world for my health I want to be aware of. My exposure to sunlight, fresh air, all those kinds of things. And wrap this thing up, I believe this is the last one. I want to be challenged through learning, through reading, through watching. I want enjoyment in my life. Happy mind, happy retirement. So my gratitude, my thankfulness, my mindfulness, I want that happiness all throughout my body because that's going to affect my health. Supplements that I take right now, vitamin K2, vitamin D3, vitamin E, all 8 of them, the PQQ, the pyrroloquinone, and a few other ones because I just don't get enough of them normally. And my fasting, again, is something I'm going to be doing literally every month, sometimes even more often than that. And I think that I still have one more. Walking, something I used to run a lot, do half marathons, can't do that anymore for a number of reasons. But stress management is something I can do sitting here right in front of the computer. Breathing exercise I can do right here in front of the computer. The quality of my sleep, being measured, being monitored, trended, that's important. And again, the one area of my life that I want to make sure is fully in control and operating perfectly, or at least as close as I can, is my mitochondrial in each cell. So with that being said, I believe we're back to the beginning, and I appreciate you joining me today on Talking Heads. Red O'Loughlin signing out, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye, y'all.
In a world craving connection, one platform dared to dream bigger. USA Global TV and Radio, a beacon for global voices, authentic storytelling, and elevated listening. Led by visionary Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, the journey from a spark to a global force is now captured in one inspiring book. Honored with YouTube's Silver Creator Award for surpassing 100,000 subscribers. Discover the evolution, the challenges, the triumphs, and the unstoppable spirit that created a global movement. Executive producer Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang. Creative director Paul Garcia. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication, or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Meet Red O'Loughlin, TV show host, presenter, and author.
Howdy, y'all. Red O'Loughlin here. I'm a TV host on the USA Global TV and Radio Network.
Red has 3 weekly shows every Thursday.
I've been a TV host now with USA Global probably maybe just a little over 3 years. Probably, I know for sure, 250, 300 shows.
Join Red on the Corner Bookstore.
The Corner Bookstore is one where we talk to authors, publicists, publishers, editors, cover designers, anybody associated with the writing and authoring book production business. You have somebody in that area, I can help you with regard to getting your book done, getting it published, working with you on a cover. A lot of things I can help people with, and I have probably maybe published over 40 books for people so far.
Join Red on The Wise Ones.
On the Wise Ones, I'm looking for entrepreneurs, business owners, people who have wisdom, lessons learned over time that they can share with others. So please go to usaglobaltv.com, sign up, and join me there.
Book your session on usaglobaltv.com. Join Red on Talking Heads.
On Talking Heads, I take my experience. I fell in love with chemistry many years ago, got a degree in it, got an invitation to Vietnam, never practiced chemistry per se. But I did get a chance when my wife was going through chemo to get back into the chemical end of things. I started looking for cause and effect relationships. I had been working at a company doing cause and effect analysis on failures in the field on various products that we made. So I said, why not look at the cellular structure in the body? The chemicals are chemicals. They do certain things. So I take my knowledge of chemistry and research. I write about it. I speak about it. I have over 1,000 original content articles on LinkedIn, most of them dealing with some aspect of health or wellness. I speak on that topic quite often, and the Talking Head show is one that I concentrate my knowledge of health and wellness on in order to help people.
Red is a distinguished Toastmaster.
As a distinguished Toastmaster, I help people get their speeches developed. The presentation is something that I critique all the time with Toastmasters. It's one of those skills that I have. I can easily help you on that one. So from the position of writing, publishing, book coach, speaking, and being a keynote speaker at an event or virtually, depending on how things work out. But those are the things that I can help people with, and I have 3 shows every week here on the USA Global TV and Network. And please join me when you can. Appreciate it. Bye now.
Here are some of the books that Red has written and published. Contact Red at redolaughlin.com.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA Global TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dyes. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.